The Napoleonic Wars were a series of major conflicts that convulsed Europe. Fought primarily between 1803 and 1815, these wars reshaped the political landscape of the continent. Their impact was profound and left a lasting mark on the world. The driving force behind these tumultuous years was the ambition of Napoleon Bonaparte. He had seized power in France in 1799, consolidating his position rapidly. The main combatants were France and its various allies, pitted against a shifting coalition of European powers. Key members of this coalition included Great Britain, Austria, Prussia, and Russia. These conflicts unfolded against the backdrop of the final years of the French Revolution and its aftermath. Napoleon's primary goals were to consolidate his control over France and expand French influence across Europe. He achieved remarkable success early on, thanks to his military genius and the revolutionary fervor of the French army. France achieved a string of stunning victories against its adversaries. A key early victory was the Battle of Austerlitz in 1805. Here, Napoleon decisively defeated the combined forces of the Austrian and Russian empires. Austerlitz is often considered Napoleon's strategic masterpiece, showcasing his tactical brilliance. The consequences of these early victories were significant. They led directly to the dissolution of the ancient Holy Roman Empire. Furthermore, Napoleon established a network of French satellite states and dependencies across the continent, extending his power. Despite his dominance on land, Napoleon faced a formidable and persistent opponent in Great Britain. The British possessed undeniable naval supremacy, a critical factor in the global conflict. The Battle of Trafalgar in 1805 highlighted this strength. At Trafalgar, Admiral Nelson's decisive victory solidified British control of the seas. This crucial outcome prevented Napoleon from launching any serious invasion of the British Isles. Unable to challenge Britain directly by sea, Napoleon sought an alternative strategy. He implemented the Continental System, a large-scale trade blockade. The goal was to cripple the British economy by preventing trade with continental Europe. However, the Continental System proved largely ineffective in achieving its primary aim. Instead, the blockade often backfired, damaging the economies of France and its allies more than Britain's. It also created resentment and encouraged smuggling, undermining Napoleon's authority in occupied territories. A major turning point in the wars was Napoleon's disastrous invasion of Russia in 1812. The sheer scale of the campaign and the harsh conditions proved insurmountable. The brutal Russian winter and the scorched earth tactics employed by the retreating Russian forces devastated Napoleon's Grande Armée. The invasion decimated his veteran army, a loss from which he could never fully recover. This significant weakening of French power emboldened Napoleon's enemies across Europe. They saw an opportunity to finally challenge his dominance. A subsequent major defeat came at the Battle of Leipzig in 1813, often known as the Battle of Nations. A massive coalition army of Russians, Prussians, Austrians, and Swedes defeated Napoleon's forces. This forced Napoleon to retreat back to France. Facing invasion and mounting pressure, Napoleon abdicated in 1814. He was exiled to the small island of Elba off the coast of Italy. However, his story was not yet over. In 1815, he escaped Elba and returned to France, briefly regaining power in a period known as the 100 Days. This led to the final confrontation. The decisive Battle of Waterloo was fought in June 1815. At Waterloo, Napoleon was ultimately defeated by the combined forces under the Duke of Wellington and the Prussian army led by Blücher. This marked the definitive end of his reign. Following this final defeat, Napoleon was exiled once more, this time to the remote island of St. Helena in the South Atlantic. He died there in 1821. The Napoleonic Wars had profound and lasting consequences for Europe and the world. They fostered a sense of nationalism across the continent, as peoples united against, or in support of French rule. The wars also spread many of the revolutionary ideals that had emerged from France, such as legal reform and administrative efficiency. The conflicts led to a significant redrawing of the map of Europe. Empires were dissolved, and new states were created or consolidated. The post-war settlement was largely achieved at the Congress of Vienna, which convened from 1814 to 1815. The Congress of Vienna aimed to restore stability and the balance of power in Europe. It ushered in a period known as the Concert of Europe, where major powers attempted to cooperate to prevent future large-scale conflicts. While not entirely successful in preventing all wars, it did contribute to a relatively long period without continent-wide conflict. The Napoleonic Wars remain a pivotal period in European history. Their legacy is immense, having shaped the political, social, and economic landscape for generations to come. The ambition of one man plunged a continent into war, forever altering its destiny. If this story inspired you, hit the like button, subscribe for more epic historical journeys, and comment below. What would you have done if you were in Napoleon's place? Coming up next, why Hitler feared Napoleon, a psychological breakdown. Don't miss it.